If Stone Cold got in the ring with CM Punk, I think it's another W in the column for CM Punk.
I would disagree with you, son.
CM Punk made his shocking return at the 2023 Survivor Series, and on the following Raw, he gave a disingenuous promo about being home. There was one thing that he said that was truthful, though.
I'm back. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money.
The following week, CM Punk signs with the Monday Night Raw brand to be exclusive to it. And after he signs the contract, he makes a huge announcement. I'm back, and my first match will be at the 2024 Royal Rumble. 10 years ago, I wrestled my final match in this company. 10 years later, I will win the Royal Rumble and get the one thing I've always wanted my entire career. The main event of WrestleMania. Before CM Punk leaves, he also has one more thing to announce regarding the Royal Rumble. I started the 2014 Royal Rumble as number 1, and in the 2024 Royal Rumble, I will be the number 1 entrant in the match. Two major announcements regarding CM Punk. He will be wrestling his first WWE match at the Royal Rumble, and he will be entering into the number he was in 10 years ago, number 1. The next week, CM Punk has a sit-down interview with Michael Cole about the Rumble and his return. Michael Cole asks CM Punk, "It is poetic in a way that your first match in the WWE in 10 years is 10 years to the day. But why would you enter the Royal Rumble at number 1? Punk tells Cole, "To prove that I am still the best in the world. It's pretty simple. If I could defeat 29 other superstars who are all at the top of their game, then that would prove to me that I am still the best in the world in this sport. While I'm not the biggest believer in fairy tale endings, me winning the Rumble and maiming WrestleMania just seems right." So Cole responds, "But what if you lose?" CM Punk responds, "Then I guess I won't lose," and he walks off. However, the next week, something comes up that changes everything. Adam Pearce comes out with a huge announcement regarding Seth Rollins and the World Heavyweight Championship. Pearce says, "After much deliberation and negotiating, I am very excited to announce the enforcer in the World Heavyweight Championship match between Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble. The Bionic Redneck, the Texas Rattlesnake, the one and only Stone Cold Steve Austin." The glass shatters and Steve Austin walks out with the crowd roaring, and the Rattlesnake has returned to the WWE. He gets in the ring, and rather than saying anything, he hits a Stone Cold Stunner to Adam Pearce and poses, as this Royal Rumble is turning out to be one of, if not the biggest of all time. So we arrive at the 2024 Royal Rumble with a sold out crowd going crazy. We go to the back and see CM Punk arriving at the Tropicana field and is asked about Steve Austin's return and whether he would like to face him at Mania. Look, it's an interesting proposition. It's a dream match of sorts, so I wouldn't mind it. But for me, it doesn't matter, because whoever I fight, whether it be Roman, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, or hell even Stone Cold, I will be in the main event of WrestleMania and win the championship. So now it's time for the first time ever. Seth Rollins, the valiant and hard-working champion, takes on Drew McIntyre for the final time with Stone Cold as the enforcer. Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre look to clash for the final time. The two men go back and forth with one another, giving it everything they have. But after Rollins survives a Claymore from McIntyre, Drew gets desperate and goes to the outside for a steel chair. Austin tells him, "You think you're going to use that chair? Not on my watch." McIntyre puts the chair down and claymores Austin, and McIntyre runs back to the ring to get caught with a curb stomp. Drew McIntyre kicks out of the curb stomp, so Seth Rollins goes for a second one by bouncing off the ropes. But McIntyre hits a Claymore as he's rebounding, and goes to the corner to set him up with the final Claymore, as McIntyre is about to hit it, but then Steve Austin gets back in the ring and hits a Stone Cold Stunner onto Drew, and leaves the ring. Rollins hits another curb stomp onto McIntyre for the 3 count. Rollins retains as Austin walks up the ramp and gives one more salute to Drew McIntyre before leaving. So after the match, Steve Austin is walking in the back and gets greeted by CM Punk, who tells him, "Nice job out there, Austin, but maybe you should leave the action to the actual performers." As CM Punk smugly walks off to the gorilla position for the Rumble match, Stone Cold is pissed off at the disrespect shown by Punk and decides, "I'm not done yet." So now it's time for the Royal Rumble match. CM Punk makes his return to the ring, coming out at number 1 with the crowd going crazy, ready to go. CM Punk goes on to face all comers, whether they be Finn Balor, Johnny Gargano, AJ Styles, Logan Paul, doesn't matter. One by one by one, Punk would be able to survive all of these challengers trying to get rid of him. 35 minutes into the match, CM Punk has cleared the ring and is waiting for the next entrant, number 20. Number 20 ends up being Akira Tozawa, but we cut to the back to see Tozawa completely knocked out. Adam Pearce runs in and panics and sees the man who took Tozawa out and screams at him, "What are you doing? We have a rumble going on, and you take out one of our participants? Well, fine. You're number 20 now. Get your ass out there right now." Who could Adam Pearce be talking about? As we're waiting, CM Punk is getting restless, and then it's Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he runs down the ramp as CM Punk is in shock and screams at him to bring it. Austin gets into the ring, and CM Punk immediately grabs Austin for the go to sleep. Austin counters it and hits him in the head, and hits a Stone Cold Stunner onto CM Punk and clotheslines him over the top rope, and CM Punk is out of the match. In the blink of an eye, CM Punk's dreams of main eventing WrestleMania have been completely dashed by a guy he disrespected, and that disrespect cost him everything. CM Punk walks off in defeat as Steve Austin makes it to the final two against Cody Rhodes. After a classic back and forth between one of the best of today and one of the best ever, Austin goes for one more stunner, but Cody counters it into a crossroads and tosses Steve Austin out of the ring. Cody Rhodes wins the Royal Rumble 2 years in a row, and Cody's going to WrestleMania to take on Roman Reigns for the undisputed Universal title. But while Cody has a road to finish his story, where does CM Punk go from here? The Raw after the Royal Rumble, CM Punk starts the show and is angry about what happened the previous night. He comes out and says, "Everything was lining up for me. The Royal Rumble was supposed to be about me, the night that CM Punk finally reached the top of the wrestling world." But then, a relic from the past, who's way past his glory days, comes in, overshadows me before the event even started, gets a free pass in one of the biggest matches of the night, and then gets into the Rumble and almost wins the entire thing. I know that Vince McMahon isn't back there in Gorilla, but is Adam Pearce and Triple H conspiring against me? Am I being targeted by the powers that be for shitting on this company for 10 years? You bring me back for this big return, and then you spit in my face by bringing back a guy who hasn't been relevant in wrestling in 2 decades? Seth Rollins makes his entrance and tells Punk, "So, your true colors are starting to show, huh? I always knew that good guy attitude was a farce, and all it took was for you losing to show who you really are, a whiny, selfish, egotistical prick." The show goes off the air with Rollins laughing at Punk, while Punk says, "The only reason you're champion is because of Steve Austin stopping McIntyre from using that chair." Tensions start to boil over between Seth Rollins and CM Punk as the hatred for one another starts to spill. Adam Pearce goes to Seth Rollins and tells him that he wants to have a match between Rollins and Punk at the Elimination Chamber. Rollins says, "Screw that guy. Why the hell would I ever agree to giving him, of all people, a shot at this championship?" And Pearce tells him, "I want the match to happen. This is a money match, and it's best for not only business, but for the fans." Rollins still tells him no. So Adam Pearce comes up with a plan B. "Fine, we'll put that on hold, but I still need a big match for the Elimination Chamber, so what about Stone Cold?" Rollins is interested, but he has a request. "I'll only take the request if he can prove that he could still go at my level." Meanwhile, Drew McIntyre is angry at Steve Austin for costing him the title at the Royal Rumble and tells Austin, "I've been screwed over time and time again, and now I just want to beat someone up real bad. So, Stone Cold, I want to fight you on Raw. Not a wrestling match, I want you in a no-holds-barred match to see who truly is the toughest and baddest son of a bitch in the WWE." After the show ends, Steve Austin responds to McIntyre's request by saying, "If you want a piece of Stone Cold, then you got it. See you in next week." Drew McIntyre and Stone Cold are the main event of Monday Night Raw. Drew McIntyre, with a massive chip on his shoulder, takes on the Rattlesnake. Drew McIntyre shows no remorse on Stone Cold. He pummels him and goes completely all out on the legend. But Stone Cold rebounds and goes to the outside and grabs a chair and relentlessly hits McIntyre with it. Austin picks up McIntyre, gives him the one bell salute, but McIntyre responds with a Glasgow's kiss to the Bionic Redneck, sets him up in the Claymore, and hits it. McIntyre thinks it's over as Drew goes for the pin, but Stone Cold kicks out. He gets up, Drew yells, "Stay down, you fossil," and slaps him right in the face. Stone Cold tells him to bring your best shot. Drew then rebounds off the ropes as Stone Cold hits the Luthez and punches him over and over and over and over again. And Austin hits him with a stunner. Austin tells McIntyre, "It's over, son," Any last words? And McIntyre tells him, go to hell. Austin picks him up and hits one more stunner. The referee counts the 3 and McIntyre is done. Austin wins his first match since 2022, and Rollins comes out and stares down Austin and says, see you in Australia. We arrive at the Elimination Chamber where we are at our big main event. Austin looking to pull off one more ride as the world champion against Seth Rollins, the hardworking champion, wants to prove not only why he's one of the best in the world, but also one of the best of all time. Austin and Rollins go back and forth, despite Rollins showing how much more athletic he is. Austin is still holding his own, using some good old knuckle sandwiches. At the climax of the match, Austin gets thrown out of the ring and CM Punk comes out. He runs into the ring, hits a go to sleep onto Rollins and leaves. Steve Austin recovers, grabs Rollins, hits a Stone Cold Stunner and pins him. Stone Cold has captured the World Heavyweight Championship for the first time in 2 decades. A comeback for the ages, but an outcome shrouded with controversy. CM Punk's interference has caused a new wrinkle into this story and is going to have ramifications for what happens next. The next night on Raw, CM Punk comes out to explain his actions.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
Ever since the Rumble, I've been completely overshadowed by that geezer Stone Cold Steve Austin. No one cares about me anymore. And after 10 years away, I will not be ignored by anyone ever again. But why Rollins? Well, Seth is, let's say, a roadblock to the real prize for me. A dream match against someone that people compare me to. Even though I've always been better than Steve on the mic, in the ring, hell, even in retirement, people have cared about me for 10 years. The only time Steve's been relevant is when he has a crappy podcast on the WWE Network and a reality TV show on CMT. But let me say something, Steve. I will beat you at WrestleMania. And that's the bottom line, because CM Punk said so. Seth Rollins comes out of the crowd and ambushes CM Punk. He proceeds to curb stomp him, not 1, not 2, but 3 times in a row, and leaves, leaving CM Punk laid out in the ring. Backstage, Seth Rollins storms into Adam Pearce's office and demands a rematch for his title. He says, it's bullcrap that I lost my title because of that entitled piece of crap. Now he's going around thinking like he's guaranteed to main event WrestleMania. Screw that. I want a rematch for my title. Pearce responds, well, it seems like both of us want the same thing. Punk wants to main event WrestleMania and you want your title back. So I'll tell you what. Next week, I will have CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. Winner goes to WrestleMania to face off against Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's fine by me. I get to stomp that arrogant prick into the mat and go on to fight a guy who I actually respect. Seth Rollins leaves and Pearce is satisfied that he got a massive match with massive stakes next week. Before Punk and Rollins collide for the first time, Michael Cole has an interview with Steve Austin to see his thoughts on the current situation. Michael Cole first congratulates Austin on becoming world champion, and Austin, I'm gonna stop you right there. My championship win is tainted because of CM Punk. It doesn't sit well with old Stone Cold that I'm just champion because of an envious piece of crap. So while it's cool for Stone Cold to be champion again, it doesn't feel earned. I would have rather lost on my own than win with help. Okay, and I understand that, but what are your thoughts on the match between CM Punk and Seth Rollins? Well, these guys absolutely loathe one another, and I get that. It's better to get your shit settled out in that ring than by just words. I have all the respect in the world for Seth Rollins, both as a wrestler and a person. He's been the workhorse for this company, battling through injuries to stay on top. However, Punk, I have little respect for. He acts like he's entitled to be in the main event because of who he is. I've always despised people like that. And he's jealous of me taking away his moment. It's just flat out annoying. Last question. Who would you rather fight at WrestleMania? CM Punk or Seth Rollins? Depends. I'd like to fight Rollins in a one-on-one match to see who truly was better. But from another perspective, I would love to stomp a mudhole into Punk. He's talked about me being washed up and irrelevant when I main evented WrestleMania 2 years ago. While I'm not the best wrestler in the world, I could still stomp a mudhole and walk it dry on a guy who quits whenever the going gets tough in multiple organizations. Now get out of here. I got a match to watch. CM Punk comes out first with a mixed reception from the crowd. Half are cheering and half are booing. Seth Rollins comes out looking more serious than usual. It's a showdown between the best in the world of today and the best of the world of yesteryear. Seth Rollins throws down with everything he's got. Superplexes, Falcon arrows, Phoenix splashes, but Punk comes back with his own flurry of offense. CM Punk hits a go to sleep to Rollins, but Seth is able to kick out of it. So CM Punk goes for a flying elbow, but Seth Rollins dodges and hits a curb stomp. He goes for the cover. Punk kicks out. Seth Rollins goes berserk, and Punk tries to attack Rollins to capitalize, but instead misses, and Rollins is able to super kick and follows it up with a curb stomp immediately. Seth's got Punk dead to rights, so he goes for the cover. Rollins can't believe it, so he goes for one more curb stomp, and Punk counters the curb stomp into a GTS position, and Punk hits the go to sleep to Rollins. And that is the end. CM Punk defeats Seth Rollins and has finally gotten the one thing he's always wanted in wrestling, the main event of Wrestlemania for the World Championship. Seth Rollins looks disheveled by the outcome and walks out of the arena, disappointed in himself. But now, the WrestleMania main event is set. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus CM Punk for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. 1 week before WrestleMania, CM Punk and Steve Austin have one more confrontation before their mega match at the grandest stage. Both guys make their entrances on Raw, and the two guys are now face to face with one another. CM Punk starts off the exchange. So, this is it. My story is about to be finished. Now I would say that I respect you, Steve, but clearly you have none for me, so I won't even bother. People have said that you and I are similar in how we condone ourselves. Except that's false. I don't drink a 6-pack every time I come down to this ring. Hell, you're probably intoxicated right now. But I don't need a bunch of goofy sayings and Budweisers to get my point across. When I say I'm the best in the world, I mean it. And I proved it last week by beating Seth Rollins. So when I say something, I mean it. And I'm telling you, face to face, man to man, that I will become the new World Heavyweight Champion. And the only reason why you're champion is because of me. I am the best in the world and maybe the best of all time. And no one...
No, just hold on a goddamn minute.
I've heard you blabbering about how you're the best in the world, and Jesus, you're putting this crowd to sleep. Your main gripes about me are that I'm old and I drink too much. Well, you're no spring chicken yourself. The reason why I'm back and the reason that this company wants me back is because I put asses in seats. And you're the same way. You act like you're back here to prove a point, but let's be real. You're here for two things. To make a lot of money and to satisfy your precious ego. You think you're going to deceive old Stone Cold with some story about being here for the fans? Now, while Stone Cold might be older, I could still whip your ass, whether in Chicago, Philadelphia, or here, right now. Steve, you're right. I'm here for the money. But you know what else? Punk grabs Austin for the GTS, but Austin counters it into a Stone Cold stunner. Austin says, "What?" and leaves the ring. WrestleMania 40. The biggest event of the year with a match that we never thought we would ever see. CM Punk, the voice of the voiceless, the best in the world, finally is getting the WrestleMania main event that he's always wanted. Stone Cold Steve Austin, arguably the biggest star in the industry's history, now the defending World Heavyweight Champion, coming out of retirement for one last ride for the coveted WWE World Heavyweight Championship. CM Punk and Stone Cold stare down one another and look each other in the middle of the ring. CM Punk taunts Austin, but Austin hits him with a Stone Cold stunner out of nowhere onto Punk. He goes for the cover. CM Punk kicks out at 2. The match nearly ended in an instant. Punk goes out of the ring to recover, and Austin taunts him to get back into the ring with a 1-bell salute. Punk gets back into the ring and continues the match by hitting a running DDT to Austin. Punk Giant Wizard to the corner and Bulldog combo, and follows it up with a flying splash. CM Punk singles for the GTS, but Steve Austin explodes onto Punk, hitting him with a series of strikes and a spine buster. Austin calls Punk for the stunner, but Punk counters it and follows it up with a GTS. CM Punk goes for the cover, but Austin kicks out. Punk calls for the GTS, but Austin counters it and hits another stunner. Punk kicks out at 2.9, so Stone Cold calls Punk up to his feet for the third stunner, but Austin gets countered and immediately gets hit with another GTS. And Steve Austin still kicks out. Punk calls for another GTS as Austin is wobbly on his feet. CM Punk picks Stone Cold onto his shoulders, looks into the camera and says, "Go to sleep," and hits the GTS again. It's over. CM Punk has defeated Stone Cold Steve Austin in the main event of WrestleMania. CM Punk, who shocked the world by returning to the company that he vilified for a decade, returns and in less than 6 months has main event of WrestleMania, defeated Steve Austin, and becomes the new World Heavyweight Champion.